What's good, Internet? My name is Attack Slug, and welcome to day 3 of my E3 2017 reactions, discussions, press conference, dealio video series nearing the home stretch. As of right now, it is like a little bit after 5 p.m. on Monday, which means all I have left now to watch today is Sony, and then tomorrow is Nintendo, and then this nightmare is over. And then, you know, the show floor opens and all that good stuff. So, what I have watched today thus far is the PC Gamer 2-hour extravaganza and the 1-hour Ubisoft things. Let's talk about those. Before that, Ni no Kuni 2 has a release date. It is November the 10th. And the Game Awards are back again this year on December the 7th. So, your PC gaming, it was like a 2-hour thing. It didn't need to be 2 hours. Come on, you guys. Started off with the XCOM 2 expansion. Guess what? There are zombies in XCOM, and that comes out on August the 29th. We got more of a look at Ooblets, which they showed yesterday on the Xbox conference, and they kind of gave more of an explanation of just what in the world Ooblets is. It's like a Harvest Moon with Animal Crossing and Pokemon, and it looks adorable, and it's going to be Xbox One and PC, so sure, alright. They're bringing back BattleTech, the classic board game, and it looks like XCOM, so sure. Saw some gameplay footage of Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. It looks like more Mount & Blade, which is kind of, you know, just multiplayer. Absolute chaos on horses with bows and arrows and all that good stuff. There's some more Total War Warhammer 2, which is totally not a genre that I play, but they showed some more of that. Another card game thing. It's Shadowverse, and there's more cards, and there are so many card games, you guys. I can't even anymore with these card games. Like, I played a little bit of Hearthstone, and I really should, at some point, launch this copy of Gwent that I have not. I've installed it. I haven't actually played it yet, because I've heard good things, but I just don't have the time to keep up on card games. There are just so many of them. And then they bring out this Intel guy, and he just kind of went on and on about, hey, i9s are cool, and VR, and didn't really announce anything, or like really have any real substance to what he was discussing. He did bring out one of them YouTube, Twitch influencers and whatnot to discuss Destiny 2 for just a hot second. And then Ready at Dawn has a VR game, which I guess is good because Ready at Dawn just put out Deformers, and that game is not getting any traction. I thought it was okay, but it was a $30 multiplayer-only thing that GameStop published, and it's just kind of falling flat on its face. But they just introduced cross-platform play, so maybe that'll save it. I don't know. That game should be free to play. But for Oculus owners, I think it was Oculus, this Echo Arena, which is kind of like a multiplayer in-space blitzball type deal, will be free to Oculus Rift owners, so cool. They showed a game called Tunic, which kind of looked like an isometric Legend of Zelda type deal with a fox, and it was real cute, and he walked around and slashed his sword, and I guess kind of had a little bit of like the Dark Souls type, you know, dodge and move and roll combat, but that looked alright. We get further updates on the PC version of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds Vaulting. You can now vault over fences and jump through windows, and that's honestly a huge game changer for that game. They showed, hey, we're going to have more weather than just that one rain map that appears every once in a while, and they talked a little bit about the upcoming 2 maps that are coming onto that PC version of that game, hopefully soon. Those guys have an awful lot of money to play with now, considering they've sold 3 million copies in, like, you know, 2 months, so good on them. They showed a little bit of that Killing Floor VR thing. I don't know which VR platforms it's coming to. If it comes to PS4 VR, then I will totally play it. After playing Resident Evil 7, I'm all about more horror game VR. But if it's a goddamn shooting gallery, then I don't care. They showed more Forza 7. They showed more Sea of Thieves. They showed more of The Last Night, which was on the conference yesterday with Xbox, which has garnered a bit of controversy because the guy behind The Last Night was involved in some Gamergate stuff. That's a whole different... I'm not even going to get into that shit. But he literally apologized on stage. Is that actually going to help any of this firestorm? Probably not. That game still looks cool. I don't know. Bohemia Interactive, the makers of the Arma games, some of the hardest of the hardcore when it comes to first-person, third-person shooter type business, is making a survival crafting game called Islands with a Y. So it's Y Lands, but it's pronounced Islands. That looks kind of like they want to go after the Minecraft Roblox audience, and it wasn't just, hey, we're on an island and we're making a thing. It's like, hey, here's us in like race cars and castles, and it had a lot of stuff in that trailer that I'm not really sure what the fuck that game is, but it could be cool. That's not really a genre that I care about, but it could be cool. We had a world premiere for the new Clay game, known for Don't Starve, Invisible Ink, Mark of the Ninja. Those guys, they have a new game called Griftlands, and it looked pretty nice. I didn't get a real sense of exactly what it was. Like, you were walking around a map, and then it kind of like 3-on-3, like, turn-based stuff? I don't know. They got into more Echo Arena, and then the single-player component called Lone Echo. I can't even read my own damn writing. Lone Echo. And that, as a VR game, obviously going to Vive, but that I would, fingers crossed, at some point be out on the PSVR, because it was very much you're in outer space and you're using your hands to climb on everything and get onto things and open stuff, and that looked really fucking cool. But as someone who does not own a Vive, because, it's expensive, I already have a goddamn headset, and I kind of don't want to, but it looked really cool, and I want to play it. Then they brought out Cliffy B for some more Lawbreakers that's out soon, that's out this year, and he was just shitting on everybody else, saying, you know what, no. When most companies say beta, that's bullshit, the game's almost done. Our betas are actual betas where we take feedback and help improve the game. And this game, Lawbreakers, will have an open access beta on June the 30th. That's, pretty soon here. Today is the 12th. And the release of that game will not be a full-price $60 bullshit multiplayer-only game. It's going to be $30. So, cool. I mean, that didn't really work for Deformers, but this is a whole different thing. This is a first-person shooter. That's more of an established genre in playing for a multiplayer-only. I don't fucking know. That's out August 8th, so cool. Then it took a turn for the 2D with a game called Wargroove. Spoiler, it's Advance Wars. It's Nintendo won't make a new Advance Wars, so somebody else is making a goddamn Advance Wars. And good on them. They showed a bit more Shadow of War, still looks pretty good, and they closed with Age of Empires Definitive Edition. And for a hot second, everyone was like, new Age of Empires, Age of Empires 4. No, we're remastering the original 20-year-old Age of Empires so you can play it on a modern things, and they kind of, fixed a few things that, were a bit archaic in it. But they said, hey, check us out at Gamescom. We might have more announcements, which to me says, okay, Gamescom, they might just announce Age of Empires 4. Microsoft making a PC-only game in 2017 or 18 is like, what? Okay, sure, why not? Anyway, that was the PC side of things. Moving on to Ubisoft. That's right, those crazy French are at it again with Mario. Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle is a game that leaked out a little while ago, like a month or so ago, with the name, and everyone's like, that sounds fucking insane. And then, oh, it's an RPG. And like, that sounds fucking insane. And then they brought Miyamoto out on stage with a bullet bill gun thing on his hand, and it was the most fucking fever dream, insane thing. And then they showed the gameplay, and it's fucking XCOM. What is even happening? It's Mario and the Rabbids, and it plays kind of like an XCOM game, and it's out on August 29th, the same day as Yakuza. Like, what the fuck? I kind of need to play that. We got another look at Assassin's Creed Origins, which had a nice long look at yesterday's deal with Xbox, so didn't go into it too much here, but hey, it's more Assassin's Creed. Honestly, everything I've seen there just looks more Assassin's Creed. Like, there hasn't been really any kind of thing that would say, hey, big overhaul. It's like, no, we took a year off, and it's kind of just more of that. And for me, that's kind of like, I'm still not feeling it. But maybe. Now, they had previously announced and confirmed The Crew 2, which you would assume would be just, more of that, but bigger and better. But man, is it bigger and better. There's cars, there's bikes. Now, the crew got DLC for bikes at some point, because I remember playing with bikes in the original game. But now there are also airplanes and boats, and I'm like, what even is this game? That's out 2018. Hopefully the driving is better than the original Crew. All I'm saying. There was another trailer for South Park. I don't want any more trailers for South Park. That game has a date. Just don't delay it again. Just please, whatever you do, don't fucking delay it again. After that was one of the 2 or 3 or 4 most confusing parts. It was a lot of just, okay, you're watching this press deal, and you're just like, what the fuck? Even what? Elijah Wood was in something, and that something is called Transference, and it's out spring of next year, and it might be a VR game. It might be an FMV game. I don't know what the fuck that was. It was just really just weird shit, and I like weird shit, so I'll play it. Remember Black Flag? Well, guess what? We've taken that Black Flag boating schooner engine, and we now have a new game called Skull and Bones, which is out fall of next year, and it has 5-on-5 ship PvP action. Everyone has their own boat, and it's ship-to-ship combat, and if I'm gonna play one pirate game in 2018, it's gonna be Sea of Thieves, and not this. But if you like that combat in Black Flag, have fun. Just Dance 2018. I still don't give a shit. And then back to South Park with a South Park phone game, which according to the press release is a real-time strategy PvP phone game called South Park Phone Destroyer, which is out this year. I would imagine kind of in the same time frame as the Fractured Butthole. Then things got fucking weird again with Starlink, which apparently is a Toys to Life outer space game. So think of like No Man's Sky, and then think of Skylanders, and combine those two things, because it's going to be on, I guess, PS4 and Xbox and the Switch. They showed the Switch, but I'm sure that actual footage was not Switch, because it looked really, really nice. But they showed you taking this little toy of a spaceship and putting it on your Switch controller on like the Joy-Cons and shit, and that ship would go in the game and have like the guns and what? I'm not buying any Toy to Life shit. It's just not happening. But what are you even building? That's out next fall. Okay, what? There will be a steep expansion called Road to the Olympics, which I guess makes sense because the Olympics are next year, and this is out in like December, so that makes sense for brand synergy. But you're only getting half of the sports in Steep, because there's no Olympic wing diving and there's no Olympic paragliding. So it's skiing and snowboarding. We got a little bit more of a look at Far Cry 5, which, guess what? It's a Far Cry game, although this look was a little bit less serious than those original trailers. It's like, oh, by the way, guys, it's still Far Cry. Shit just pops off and explodes. Have fun. Please don't get mad at us for satirizing things that might actually happen in this country in like the next 5 years. Come on now, chill, it's Far Cry, just fucking relax. And then Ubisoft finally drops the bombshell that people had assumed was never going to happen. They had written it off. It's been too many years, right, since they originally announced this game. It's been too many goddamn years, but I'll be damned. Beyond Good and Evil 2 still exists in some capacity. I'm not sure I actually believe that, because they showed a CGI trailer, and I'm like, but, what? It's a prequel before Jade, which was the protagonist of the original game, and it had a pig that cursed, and a monkey that cursed, and spaceships, and I don't know what the fuck that game is. I still have my doubts it will ever see the light of day, especially if Vivendi ends up having a hostile takeover of Ubisoft. I don't think they gave a year or a time frame or anything. They announced that game like fucking 10 years ago. That is a great bombshell to end your conference on, but also you didn't really announce any new Tom Clancy thing, which is like weird. Like, there was Steep DLC, and I know there's more DLC coming to Wildlands. They could have at least mentioned that. So I'm curious about the absence of one Tom Clancy, who is usually at every Ubisoft conference in some form for some game. Where is the next Splinter Cell? Anyway, that wraps up Ubisoft, which was perhaps the most baffling bit of announcements and games I have seen in a press conference in quite some time. But we're not done today yet. We've got one more, and that's a big one, and that's Sony at 9 p.m. So in about 3 hours here. We got Sony doing their usual hour and a half, 2 hour thing, announcing games that won't be out this year because that's what they always fucking do. So I will jump cut to a much more tired version of myself, having then watched that conference and talk about that for a little bit, and then wrap up day 3. And I just finished watching the Sony press event, and it's kind of like, that was it? That was your... They had an hour-long pre-show, right? And the hour-long pre-show had some announcements as well as their about an hour-long main show. And I feel like maybe they were taking some of last year's criticisms to heart in terms of announcing games that are so far off that you won't see them for, a while. And okay, but you only had an hour show here. So let's hit the pre-show first and then the main show and kind of discuss what we saw and didn't see. So on the pre-show, we had Supermassive Games announced as part of the PlayLink agenda, which is games that will be easier to play or easier or more inclusive to the casual gamer, which means controlling your PS4 games with your cell phone. So that's a thing that they're doing. But this is from Supermassive, the folks who made Until Dawn, and I loved Until Dawn. And it's like a crime game where you're like solving crimes with your buddies on the couch using your phones and whatnot. And I don't know, I'll play it. It looks interesting. Also, as part of that agenda, That's You, which is like a Jackbox party game, but less interesting. Or at least there seemed to be less of an edge to it. It seemed way more family-friendly. They showed one of the next games from Housemarque, the guys who made Resogun and Dead Nation and whatnot. It's called Matterfall. That is out August the 15th. They showed some Everybody's Golf, the new, Hot Shots deal. They had a nice video package on Gran Turismo Sport, which was not on the main stage, only on this pre-show. And that is supposed to be coming out fall of this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, no more delays. I really want to know what that's going to be like in PlayStation VR. That is one of my... As someone who bought a damn racing wheel, I need to know. But, speaking of VR... Super hot VR is coming to PlayStation VR. What was originally an Oculus exclusive and then came out on the Vive is now coming out on PSVR in a couple of weeks. Super hot's awesome, and I'm hype. They also showed Spark VR, S-P-A-R-C, which looked kind of like a Pong Blitzball. I don't even know. It was just back and forth with a ball thing and like a VR thing with a shield, and it looks like it was multiplayer, and I do not care about multiplayer in VR or otherwise, for the most part. They had what I think was a world premiere for Tropico 6. I had not heard of that game before, and they're making more Tropico. 2018, I would imagine, PS4, Xbox One, PC, all that good stuff. And Undertale is coming to consoles, and there are parts of Undertale, if you haven't played it on the PC, there are parts of Undertale, there are very important story parts of Undertale that are very specific to how PC games operate. I don't want to spoil it if you haven't already played it, that I'm curious how in the blue hell that would work on both the PS4 and the Vita. The only mention of Vita in this whole thing was this little part on the pre-show with Undertale having a physical edition through Fangamer, and that is out this year. Later this year, once again, we'll have the PlayStation Experience thing. That'll be December the 9th and 10th. They'll have their, press event there with more games, etc., etc. But then it moved into the main show with, again, a very sophisticated presentation, much like last year. A lot of game trailers, not much on-stage talking, which usually I like. The fewer cringe carnival moments you have in these gaming press conferences, the better. And just show me trailers, show me some, gameplay, announce some things, and I'm pretty happy. But once again, we had live music, and then we had some Uncharted Lost Legacy, and that looks okay. That's actually out, August, so I'll be playing that soon enough. They announced some Horizon Zero Dawn DLC, The Frozen Wilds. That's out this year. I liked Horizon Zero Dawn a whole lot, but whether or not I would actually go out and buy it just to play DLC, probably not. but no mention if that would actually be a just standalone DLC thing, or if you have to have the main game to have it. No real details on that just yet. Then we got an extended Days Gone thing again, dude on a motorcycle and zombies, and at a certain point in this thing, they pulled away from, the direct feed video to show kind of the direct feed kind of in here, and in the part of the game, there were zombies that were hanging upside down from ropes and whatnot, and in the auditorium, there were literally people hanging upside down for like a 5 to 8 second clip. Like, they put them up there just for that thing, just to emphasize, hey, they're hanging upside down. It's the kind of thing that they had. I went and saw Tool back in, like, 03 or 01, or they had something similar like that at the time, where it's like, hey, they're hanging upside down, and it's a crazy thing. And when was 06? I don't even know anymore. But, like, it was such a minuscule part of the show that I'm sure required so much planning. I have no fucking idea why they did it. That game still looks alright, but kind of too much stealth for my taste. I'm not really a big fan of stealth. But I'll definitely play that when it comes out, which I don't think they gave a date on that. It didn't have like a year or anything, which says to me that it might still be a ways off, so that's rough. But something that did get a year, and something that had a trademark come out a couple of days ago, is actually kind of a big deal. And that's Monster Hunter World, a like next-gen full HD console Monster Hunter coming to PS4 early 2018, also Xbox One, also PC, but holy shit, console Monster Hunter. I know they did that Wii U game and the Wii game, but still, this is non-Nintendo console and PC, like, next-gen Monster Hunter. That's awesome. And a very baffling remaster. Bluepoint, who is really, really good at doing remasters. Bluepoint did Titanfall on the 360, which is kind of like a demaster from the Xbox One version. Bluepoint does amazing work, and they're remastering Shadow of the Colossus, which is a great game, for the PS4. Now, that was originally a PS2 game that already got a remaster on the PS3 packaged with Eco. And now I guess they're remastering it again for PS4. I don't know why. It's out next year. And I'm not sure that I want to buy that game a third time. It's really good, but I don't really need to buy it a third time, all I'm saying. They showed a cutscene from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, and they're putting out a story demo, whatever the hell that means, today. That game's out in September. They showed some Call of Duty, World War II. It's still Call of Duty, World War II. And then we had our VR block. And as someone who owns a VR headset, I am definitely interested in the VR block. And I know last night during Bethesda, they had showed off some VR, Doom virtual fucking reality, and then Fallout 4 VR. And I was like, oh, that's cool. You're never going to get Fallout 4 VR on a home console because it's too, it's too intensive to play in VR and not get nauseous, because you wouldn't be able to maintain the frame rate needed for that game as a, next-gen game. But you know what's not a next-gen game? You know, a game was out on 360 and PS3 and that stuff? Fucking Skyrim. They're making Skyrim VR. It looks like the whole game of just you're going into Skyrim in VR. That seems crazy. That seems like a thing I would rent from GameFly and play for an hour and then be like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to play Skyrim again anymore. The amount of versions of Skyrim that are happening in 2017 is too damn high. They just put out Special Edition. It's coming out on the Switch and now in VR. And to me that says it's gonna be a while before Elder Scrolls 6, so just chill the fuck out. After that was Star Child VR. I don't know what that is, but if it's on a disc, I can GameFly it. I will play it. After that was another game from Supermassive. I don't know how many games they're making. It seems like a lot. But it's called The Inpatient, and it's a VR game, and it looks creepy, and I will definitely want to play that. They showed some Final Fantasy VR fishing. I don't give a fuck. They showed some game called Bravo Team, which is a VR kind of military shooting game. Also kind of don't give a fuck because there are way too many VR shooting gallery games in the first place. They showed Moss, a third-person VR game where you're kind of like a, watching the thing that you're playing as or helping out the thing that you're playing, which is a mouse. It looks adorable, and I will totally play that. we got some God of War. And that combat looks so different from what you would normally expect from a God of War that is early 2018. It had a giant snake. Alright, I'll play that. Another nice long trailer for Detroit. Most notable in that it did not show the character from that last long trailer for Detroit back at the last experience thing back in December, I think it was, or last year at E3, I don't fucking know anymore. As weird as they are, I have enjoyed the games from Quantic Dream, so I do want to play Detroit, but this trailer did not have a date, so perhaps that's a 2019 game, I don't fucking know. Here's some Destiny 2, a game I probably won't play. I didn't play Destiny 1, so there's more of that. It's gonna have more exclusive, they got their marketing deal, DLC, and that kind of stuff. And they closed their show on Spider-Man. And as someone who normally does not care about superhero games, Spider-Man looks pretty good. I have to wonder how much of that contextual combat environment stuff is going to be a thing, and how much of that was just for this video that they produced for this E3 press deal. There were an awful lot of QuickTime events in that sequence, and I have to wonder how much of that pervades that game entirely. Obviously, I'll rent it. Obviously, I'll play it. But the combat was a little Batman-y, and I'm wondering how much of that plays into like some stealth stuff. But generally, overall, I thought it looked really good. That's 2018, no, month or season or whatever. And that was it. So your main stage show was an hour. You had your CEO come out like twice and talk for a little bit, and that was kind of it. No real, like, here's a, guy with a controller on stage with a, gameplay thing explaining shit to you. None of that. Just kind of trailers and just keeping it classy. And just kind of fell flat to me. I think that worked a lot better last year when they had some bombshells to drop, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Shenmue 3. I think that was last year. That things you thought would never happen, and they had them happening on stage. And this year they kind of didn't have any of that. We didn't see Shenmue 3 on stage. We didn't see Final Fantasy VII. Now we know that Shenmue 3 just got delayed till the end of next year. That's like the first delay of, I would assume, will be many. It's a fucking Shenmue game. And we just got that report from Square saying, oh, we've had to take Final Fantasy VII away from CyberConnect and move it to our internal because it's kind of not going great. So they wouldn't show that because that's obviously not going great, having some issues in development. Imagine that. They waited forever because they didn't want to do it. And then they go, okay, you know what, fine, fuck it, we'll do it. And they're having problems. Surprise, surprise. There's one guy at Square being like, I fucking told you so, we shouldn't have done this. Anyway, also, where's From Software? Where's From Software? Dark Souls 3 came out last spring. We know they're working on at least 3 different games. Where is From Software? I need my fix of From Software. I don't care if that's Bloodborne 2. I don't care if that's something completely new. Just give me something. Anyway, that was Sony. Sony happened. It was okay. So far, of all the ones that I've watched, I think that Ubisoft was my absolute favorite conference so far. And tomorrow, we have a 30-minute Nintendo deal for their, directly to you, and then their Treehouse Live. And, I'm going to watch that direct. They've said, oh, we're going to have more announcements in that first hour of Treehouse. So I'll watch that hour and a half. But I'm not watching that whole day stream. I have other things to do on a Tuesday, you guys know. Anyway, I'm Attack Slug. Thanks for watching Day 3. More videos every day. And I'll see you next time right here on this channel. I'm so tired. And I'm out.